Pareto optimality. This is the concept which suggests that it's impossible to make someone better off without making someone else worse off. For example, the points inside the production possibility curve, which is point Z and point X, they both are Pareto inefficient because the output of consumer goods can be produced without touching the output of capital goods. There is no need to reduce the output of capital goods in order to produce consumer goods at which points? Point Z and point X. Why? Because there are idle resources sitting which can be used to increase the output. However, at any point lying on the PPC, which are points A, Y, B, and C, at all these points, the resources would have been used completely. All the resources of the economy would be in use. Therefore, all these points A, Y, B, and C are Pareto efficient. Means if they want to move from point A to point B, they will have to reduce some output of capital goods in order to increase the output of consumer goods. Let's see it. At point A, the economy is producing this output, which is say 100 units, suppose, and here it's producing 10 units. In order to increase the output of consumer goods from 10 units to 50 units, they will have to forego 20 units of capital goods to increase 30 units output of consumer goods. That is the point where the economy is Pareto efficient. When economy is acting in a Pareto efficient manner, it means that they are attempting to achieve, or they are on a point where they have allocative as well as productive efficiency. Talking about efficiency, there is one more kind of efficiency: dynamic efficiency. Before dynamic efficiency, we can have a look at some example of Pareto efficiency. Suppose a new road scheme is designed to improve efficiency of the flow of traffic. Users of the new roads benefit because their journey times are shorter as well as their fuel consumption is likely reduced. When there is less traffic congestion, less fuel is consumed. Others, though, for example, those who might lose their homes, will be worse off. Instead of being better off, they will be worse off unless they are paid appropriate compensation. Those living close to the road will adversely be affected by additional noise and fumes. They are unlikely to receive any compensation and they will not be better off, rather, they will be worse off. So, Pareto optimality is achieved by making one person worse off and improving the conditions for the other person. However, in such a case, overall efficiency is gained, or overall efficiency gain is achieved. We just now justified it using the PPC that all the points we know, the points lying on the curve, all of them are efficient points, and at all of them resources are allocated optimally. We already know that. It means overall efficiency is gained if one person or one thing is made to be worsened off to make the other thing better off. Now let's talk about dynamic efficiency. Dynamic efficiency is a concept which firms achieve in the long run. It is not achieved in the short run. It is a form of productive efficiency which firms achieve by allocating resources in such a way that output increases relative to increase in resources. Also, it is achieved when firms meet the changing needs of market by introducing new production processes or new technology, and they do it to meet competitive pressure. Why do they do that? There's a need for them to do this when firms are operating in a competitive market. They don't want to lose their market share to competitors, for which they need to work to bring their costs down in the long run. Logically, when firms introduce new technology or new processes, they have to undergo huge costs. So a question may arise how their costs are coming down if they have to bear huge costs to introduce new technology or new processes of manufacturing or any other processes that may enhance their productivity. For example, an enterprise resource planning software, which is custom design. It's very expensive. Its implementation takes time and a lot of training. If the firm is investing in a lot of training of employees to implement an ERP, which is eventually going to make them more productive, how is their cost coming down in the long run? The thing is that the cost initially rises. They have to undergo huge costs initially when they're attempting to bring their costs down in the long run, and the benefits come in the long run. After a certain point of time, the costs, they stop rising, they come down, and as a result, the long run average cost curve shifts down. It shifts down means their cost decreases, and at a lower cost they are able to manufacture more, right? That is why firms attempt to achieve dynamic efficiency. What is the need of dynamic efficiency? The need for dynamic efficiency is to survive in a competitive market where every firm needs to try to bring their cost down, but this is only for firms operating in a competitive market. Monopolists do not have that kind of motivation to bring their costs down because of the presence of supernormal and then normal profits in monopolistic market. So let's talk only about firms operating in a competitive market here. Also, one more way in which they do this is by introducing innovation. However, they need money to do all that. The firms need to invest in innovation, in technology, in advanced processes of manufacturing or any advanced processes that will enhance their productivity and bring the cost down. From time to time, they use their investment, maybe retained profits or any form of investment, to make themselves highly productive and bring the costs down. If we talk about car manufacturing firms or any other firms that have moved towards automation takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of training of people. However, automation makes lives of people easy. It enhances productivity to such an extent that people would think that they should have implemented these measures earlier. But when the productivity increases, productivity as it is means that the output per unit of input increases. Means in less input, you generate more output, which means your costs will come down and you will be able to generate more output. That is why dynamic efficiency is needed. However, despite firms attempting to achieve efficiency, markets do fail. What is market failure? Market failure is when markets fail to deliver efficiency. What do we mean by that? It means that markets, when left to operate on their own without any government intervention, would lead to some sort of externality, and they would lead to some sort of misallocation of resources, which moves the output away from optimality, and some resources are wasted. Theoretically and hypothetically, we can show that firms are attempting to achieve dynamic, allocative, and productive efficiencies, But in real life scenario, that does not happen. Externalities do exist. It means that whatever production operations are being conducted, they do pose an external cost, a negative externality. They do pose an external cost, which eventually lead to market failure. Why market failure? Certain resources would be misallocated, certain resources would be overutilized, and when non-renewable resources are used in such a way that they are overutilized, they will be deteriorated. That will lead to bigger market inefficiency and eventually market failure. When markets fail to allocate resources in such a way that demand is equal to supply, it means there can be consequences of market failure. Obviously, when we are talking about failure, the consequences are not going to be positive. The consequences are going to be such that it's posing huge cost on the society, and there are huge amounts of externalities present in the market. So the consequences could be adverse selection or moral hazard. It can be prevailing monopolies in the economy. When monopolies prevail, they do not have any incentive to produce anything at the lowest possible cost, because they are anyway going to sell it for a huge profit margin. So they don't have that kind of motivation. When that happens, obviously they will underproduce deliberately and create shortage deliberately, which would lead to increased prices. When prices will increase, less people will be able to consume the goods produced and benefit from them. There can be information failure. There can be the consequences of market failure can be provision of merit and demerit goods. We are going to observe all of them one by one in later chapters.